almost like a beginning of the project kind of type of thing, where we are experimenting and trying to change the format a little bit. And actually, we are gonna move into the real coaching situations, real issues or goals, and work as a coachee or coach kind of client set. And in our case, it's going to be open. In our case, it's going to be 3 coaches and maybe even 4. We'll see if we will invite some people from outside. So then will be 4 of us. So it's up to you right now to decide how you will proceed. I will be a client and I do have some real issue to discuss. So let me know how you would like to move on. Who is going to drive the bus?
Volunteer to be your coach.
I am.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So have you decided what Alice and John, how you will kind of interact, participate? I just want you to discuss right now, and yeah, and so it will be very clear. No more confusions. You could do it.
Well, one can be a co-coach and the other one can be a supervisor. I let you fight for that.
What's the role of a supervisor?
Before to fight for that, you need to explain them what it's actually entails.
Yes.
Okay. The co-coach is a coach that could ask other questions that if this coach sees that there is something that can be even more explored by the client, let's say it like that. And the supervisor is a person that observes the practice of the 2 coaches and how the relationship between the coaches and the coachee works.
So supervisor has no voice, and it will be probably he's gonna have voice after the session, right?
Alice.
I'll be supervisor.
Okay.
Powerful position, you took, Alice. Okay.
Well, it was kind of natural.
Yeah.
Okay. Alex, would you like that we be done?
Yeah, sure. I'm ready totally, and I know that we have certain particular time frame. So I actually set up my alarm on an alarm. I mean, like a vibration on my wrist. I always use it for 30 minutes. So I will actually indicate that yeah, we are getting somewhere in 30 minutes time. So you will be aware of that, because we need to. As I understood, the idea is to have a coaching session. Around 30 minutes something, and then maybe we're going to have discussion and kind of dissect something what happened. Is it correct?
Absolutely.
Sounds good.
Super. So I'm ready.
Okay, Alex, I'm asking you, the first question is, what do you care about? What is the challenge you would like that we discuss today?
Well, challenge is, I was actually, I need to explain quickly what is it all about. So for years, I was quite aware that I have a number of, not a dreams, but something which I am postponing, and I always kind of catch myself thinking, wow, it would be nice, and then, the rest of the sentence, and those, it would be nice, and then usually goes, would be nice to actually start reading books again. So that would be one of those. And it would be nice actually to start some training related to certain training systems, which I found recently. Well, the idea is not to use gym, not to use any equipment, but use your body weight. And it was created by some Navy SEAL instructor. And I was like thinking, wow, it would be nice actually to start practicing it. And there are several more would be nice. Like, for example, I started Chinese many times and I stopped it. I think it would be nice actually to really start and continue to do that. So I have a number of those things which were pending for years. And I decided recently, actually before a new year, somewhere before like Christmas time, I was thinking, well, what if I start all those things at the same time simultaneously? And I actually start doing those things which I was just postponing and just kind of dreaming about. And that would be a challenge. Yeah, briefly. I could tell you much more, but maybe you want to ask a few questions before I will continue.
Well, the first question is what was the process that allows you to think that would be possible to start all these challenges together?
Exactly. So that's number of times I discovered that I do have, probably as every human being has, some kind of assumptions or presuppositions or something which you don't really challenge anymore. And every time, like in before Christmas, I was thinking, well, I'm gonna start reading books again, and then I caught myself thinking that, well, that's one habit I would like to create, and please don't do anything else, because if you mix too many things, probably you're gonna fail. So I caught that thought, and I realized that who like it's actually have a common sense not to do too many things at the same time. But at that moment, I was thinking, what if I will do all those things at the same time? What will happen? I don't know where I actually picked up that idea that better not to. And maybe it's a little bit more complicated than that. Maybe there are some factors which would allow me to do multiple things at the same time. So my idea was that, what if I started as a project, not just to create few like a nice habits, but what if the project would be the idea of, can I do it simultaneously, and under what condition it would be possible? So for me, it's actually much more interesting and challenging than just even habits on its own, because it become almost like a professional curiosity, the kind of type of project. So this is the kind of long answer on your question. I'm not sure if it's possible, but I am super interested to test.
What in your well, by feeling and sensing what you feel now and sense and think, how can you start this project?
Oh, I already started. I mean, I don't really have any gap between, between. I'm not planning too long anything. Maybe it's a bad thing, maybe it's a good thing, but that's how it goes. Because for me, it's important to have energy, kind of to make it flow. If I start thinking too much, I could get myself into some kind of stagnation. So usually I just do stuff. So maybe not everything at the same time, but before Christmas time, I started to do that cold Wim Hof kind of method thing. And now from 23rd of December, I missed just one day because I was kind of traveling and busy. So it's like I already did it probably 20 times. And today, by the way, for the first time, I did it twice. It's a cold, freezing cold kind of water thing, shower, and after that, some breathing exercises. So one thing I already started, books. I already started language. I already started Chinese, and I also already started facial exercises. So I actually started already, but not simultaneously. Some of them I will do in already 20 days, some of them just 1 week, some of them just, I don't know, maybe a few days. So, but I did start the whole thing.
And how the process is going?
Nice question. First of all, I have a little bit of strategy. I'm not just starting it kind of from nowhere. Maybe 3 months ago, with my wife, we decided to quit some habit which we used to have for probably already for 10 years, maybe really a long time. And that's a habit of watching in the evening, watching some stuff. I mean, it could be Netflix, it could be some super cool movies, or watching something which um, uh, lots of interesting things to watch. So, and in the evening we have that habit. I watch something, she watch something, and because we have a big apartment and we are in different kind of corners, we have different interests. And after we calculated how much time we spent in the evening of watching those things, we were in shock. We realized that enormous amount of time we are just almost like a zombie, just staring at some screen and watch some. It doesn't matter how exciting those things are, but when you calculate how much time really you do that, it's crazy. So we made some kind of detox. As a result, I would say about 2 hours probably in average per day. We Now I have almost like a gap, not filled with anything, and that's why I came up with the idea of what if I create number of habits and which will fill that space, nice space of approximately 2 hours per day. And that's pretty much, I think it's kind of supporting, like almost like a foundation. I'm not just trying to squeeze those new habits into super busy. No, actually, I'm placing them nicely into the huge gap, because now I do not watch TV shows. I stopped watching anything, literally nothing, nada. And now I do have time to create some nice juicy habits. So that's what is happening. And yeah, how it goes, something successful, something not really. Like for example, taking a cold water shower is going very well. I haven't practically missed once. But breathing, for example, sometimes I'm skipping. I don't know why. I need to figure it out why. I mean, there are some challenges because facial exercises I started, and I feel like something is missing. I'm not like super excited about them. Some elements are not in place. Some psychological kind of components are not there yet, and so it's like a ups and downs kind of type of thing. That's what is going on. Sorry for long answer.
No problem. And I would like to know, what would you like to explore more? The way that you are skipping, for example, one of the habits that you just said, the breathing. What makes you skipping this, and how can you be more consistent?
That could be one of those.
Practice this.
That could be one of the topics. Another topic is how to succeed with the whole project, how to make sure that all those things will take in place. Or I mean, we could explore anything. I believe anything what helps me to focus and I don't know, get into the nitty-gritty kind of into all those mechanics of anything could be helpful.
So where would you like to start? From the skipping habits, or
let's start with that. Let's start with what will make them so exciting and so I would say desirable, or so I would not even consider. So what that would make those new habits which I'm looking forward to create like really powerful. So there will be no questions of skipping or yeah, that would be interesting topic.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I'm hearing you, Alex. What could make more exciting breathing after the cold shower?
No idea. Somehow that breathing, when I did it for the first time, it created some kind of almost like euphoria, some kind of very specific state. I did it once, and it was really interesting. The effect. It's almost like I actually practically never, took drugs in my life. I think once or twice. But I according to the description, what other people do or have, it's like probably be on the drugs, and it's like, phew, you are in some kind of very specific kind of state, and that was the first time. But somehow after I did it number of times later on, there was no such effect. And I'm not saying that I need to look for those effects, but something's supposed to be make it kind of exciting. Like when it comes to the cold shower, no questions. It's such an enormous boost of energy. It's a change of state, and it's incredible thrill, I would say. I mean, that's probably as a result, I'm literally hooked on it instantly. But as for the breathing, when nothing is happening, kind of as a result of that, somehow I'm not as motivated or excited. I could easily say, okay, I will do it later. And when I say do it later, with my busy schedule, I just kind of end up, not doing it. And some of the days I was missing. And when I look back, I was thinking, why would I miss that stuff? It's really important, but obviously something is missing. Probably excitement.
Yes. Just to dig a little bit deeper into this topic, is that really true that the other times you didn't have any effect, or just you look for the first effect to be motivated?
No, first effect was unexpected. It's really interesting. I felt like it really does something, that breathing. And other times maybe I was not doing it correctly, or maybe I need to do it more, or maybe I'm not sure. I need probably to change parameters, or make it several times in a row or longer, because after other times I just felt like nothing is happening. It doesn't mean by nothing is happening, I mean I don't feel any effect on my body, any at all. So because after training, for example, I feel more relaxed. After when I do something, I'm looking forward to have any kind of evidences that something is working or something is influencing. After cold shower, I do have effect immediately. After practically, so it's actually one of the motivational kind of parameters, which is like, okay, actually it works, and I feel better or anything. After those breathings, which I'm doing right now, I don't feel any change. So maybe that was the reason.
Alex, may I challenge you a little bit more?
No, no, joking. Of course you can. Of course,
Okay.
please.
I know that you are a very good martial art teacher and explorer. And I'm asking you if you would like to explore your specific way to breathe that can be exciting for you after you take this cold shower.
Oh, you have number of special breathing techniques. Some of them make you extremely kind of alert and ready to fight. For example, yeah, I do have some or breathing techniques which I practice when I do Tai Chi Chuan or Tai Chi or Qigong thing. But the point is that they are serving me and I'm doing them and I know the effect. Right now, I'm trying to do something which belongs to that Wim Hof method, and he has a very specific type of breathing, which I'm trying to follow somebody else's breathing techniques. And
I know, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stopping you because one of the things we learn through martial art that not all the body are equal and not all the movement we do in the same way. And I think this is the same for the breathing. So my question is, how can you adapt this kind of breathing to your specific body? This is a good challenge.
No, it's a brilliant challenge. I appreciate the insight, and but somehow it's actually maybe contradict with a little bit of belief system. I explain what I mean. Like in my understanding, before to modify anything at all, I'm trying to follow certain particular method in order to be really kind of proficient enough, or make sure that at least I followed somebody's instruction long enough in order to see if it works for me or not. It's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like when you start learning piano, you are not up to modifying, something. You need to learn first, right? I mean, a little bit, just be a little bit patient with the methodology and spend at least a few years of before you will start modifying, anything. So, like in my case, I do believe that there is a system. The guy created it for 40 years. And even though everybody is unique, I actually think it's proper way to follow somebody's system because it has a very specific parameters. And long enough, in order to, after that, I could say, okay, I mean, I'm actually kind of qualified enough. I spent enough time with it, so now I can try to modify it because does make sense, Irene? Before I cannot modify something after 2 weeks of, yeah. I mean, I think it's a little bit kind of arrogant.
You are telling that you cannot modify. Is that true, this statement?
I think by modifying something which I really kind of have no idea about, I could lose the whole essence of the method, because method is extremely specific. And breathing, which he proposed in his method, is something which I've never done before, even close. It's a very specific one. It's a hyperventilation, and after that, hypoventilation. I never done it before. So modifying, I believe I'm not qualified right now modifying method which guy was working 40 years to create. That would be my
John,
answer.
would you like to ask anything?
Well, I appreciate, Alex, everything that you shared. I mean, it's interesting. I've heard you say a few times that it took him 40 years to create this method. But it seems as though there's this expectation that this is going to work quickly when it took 40 years to develop this process. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are when I share that with you.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point. My first surprise was when I did it first time. It was an incredible effect. I felt like after breathing. First of all, I mean that euphoria came, but it's not the point. The point is that it's actually hit. I felt like it hit me in the upper part of the head in a very specific way, kind of related to some kind of autoimmune, disbalance which I had. And I was like, wow, this is crazy stuff. What is happening? And after that, I've done that breathing already probably like 15 times, and somehow nothing is happening. Like I don't feel anything at all after every time when I do breathing. I don't feel anything at all, how it's influencing my body. And I would guess maybe this is kind of gives me a little bit of lack of motivation in order to do it really strictly every day. I still will continue. I believe I will do it. But Irene asked me, why you are skipping. I'm just guessing that maybe partially I'm skipping because I don't feel any effect at all on me. And to be honest, John, the effect of the techniques are almost instantaneous. It's just crazy. I mean, that's actually, I watched lots of videos and lots of interviews, and people after 3 days going and doing some crazy stuff. I'm not aiming at that, but I am quite aware that effect of that technique is almost instantaneous. And shower does produce it. And breathing part somehow not really. And that's where I see maybe potential issue for me. If it makes sense, I don't know.
This is making a lot of sense, and the way you are talking is that there are a lot of things that you are talking about to don't be motivated, and at the same time, as John just said, the expectation maybe that this technique work for you like works for other people.
True.
Yes.
True. I mean,
and
that
also,
would be my guess. Mm-hmm.
And the other part is that this technique was developed for 40 years, and who are you to change these techniques? But it's not about changing. So how can my question is, can you discover a way to make this technique working for a person like you? Because I'm assuming that not all those people has your same background in martial art, in mastery breathing, in having attempt a lot of techniques of breathing, martial arts, physical exercises. So you are a person that have a huge background. So how can you combine all those things to make this technique work?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, that's why, and I mean, what comes to my mind, maybe, in some of his videos, I'm just guessing again, maybe in some of his videos, he said that ideally we're supposed to do it 3 times in a row in order to achieve a certain particular result. And actually I'm usually doing it once or maybe twice. So yeah, because when I did it first time, I did it just once, and it was incredible, kind of interesting effect. And right now, what I am guessing is that before I will start even considering to do some kind of amendments or experimentation with that, I think I will probably commit for a couple of weeks, just do the full range of those exercises and try to see kind of if there is any, with some kind of small adjustments, really micro adjustments, because you could always do adjustments in terms of frequency or how intense you do stuff, not dramatic ones. But I think that what comes to my mind is that before I would say complain or consider myself like, I'm dismotivated, I think I need to do it in a full range, like exactly as he believes would be the optimal one. The optimal one is 3 cycles of the same breathing. So it's going to take actually 10 minutes. And okay, hyperventilation, then hyperventilation, then stop breathing for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and then 3 times the same thing. So it's actually longer. And I usually didn't do the 3 times because I tried to do it shorter. But maybe I will commit and do a couple of weeks full range, and then already put it on a table and decide what to do next. Will I continue or start actually experimenting and changing anything? So that would be the guess.
Great. Does that make you feeling more motivated to breathe?
It makes me feel like, I would say, like more authentic. That's what I feel like doing. I really, how to say it, kind of have a respect to some methods which people, creating for a long time. I know that not everything works for everyone, but at the same time, there are things which you need to stick with long enough in order to see any kind of effect. I would right now when I'm saying, I am kind of have another thought. Maybe I was kind of spoiled because of the first effect. I mean, if I would not have the first effect, I would not doubting. I would be just going, because I am capable to do things long enough and not demanding any effects, because I know sometimes it takes, in some cases, years, to see result. But this time, because it was so powerful and instantaneous, I think in some kind of, it shifted my, I don't know, expectations or estimation, and all other videos of other people, they're so kind of having quick results. I'm not up to quick results, but because of that kind of thing which happened in the first breathing, it somehow I probably switched into the not instant gratification, but some kind of different frame, which is not even mine actually, not usual. Yeah.
Great.
Alex, I really would like to acknowledge that insight that you just had and that you shared with us about how you were able to see how you approach this process and how now you're willing to follow it more completely than you had in the past. But to be able to recognize, and as I said, to have that insight around what was really happening, and then now how you're going to move forward in doing those exercises. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, I totally agree with you, because what came to my mind is that, when you do, I don't know, martial arts, just starting to learn something, I started many things, guitar kind of, or even ballet, but you do not, like, that it's going to take years to have, to that practice will kind of, how it will influence your body. And there is no demand like, oh, next day I'm gonna feel something or be different, or stretching. It takes months and months to see results, and I'm 100% okay with that. But in this case, something, maybe because that guy is so enthusiastic and he said, yeah, I mean, guys, just try it and you will see. And I was kind of caught into that quick result kind of type of thing. And also the shower itself also have an instant effect. So that's why, I mean, that kind of instantaneous frame kind of was installed. And now I'm in troubles because of that, I think, a little bit. But if I drop that frame, I think it's fine. I could do that, no worries. Yeah. I just need to lower my expectations and just follow the method long enough to see what will happen. Yeah, thank you, John.
Is there anything else you would like to discuss, or you would like just to close this session and anchor your intention to improve this practice?
I think it's good to, because right now we discussed a very specific tiny piece of the whole project, how to, for example, deal with that kind of skipping of breathing. I think I definitely onto something, and I do have that right now. I have at least a new strategy, and I do feel that the frame, by frame I mean like almost like my mindset, my attitude towards this thing changed. So thank you for helping me, think about it and see slightly different angle. Now at least I understand. I have a hint, why actually it even happened. Because like, why would I have that kind of strange attitude or lack of motivation in this case? Now it makes sense. So I'm gonna test it, and I think for this particular session I have already good piece to work on. I don't need to, to do many other things. It's enough. So I'm quite happy with how we spend our time. Thank you, Irene and John, and of course my supervisor, Alice. Your
Supervisor.
silence, your silence, your thick silence was essential, in this process.
Well,
So,
no,
thank you.
I was really watching and I was taking notes,
I feel it.
and
Yeah.
I did really like how at the end, the conclusion you come to was one of the ones that I had written in my notes. And it was like to just trust the process.
Yeah.
Because you did say he did 40 years doing it. And then when you come to the conclusion that, well, I'm not really sure why. Maybe it was because everybody else had such quick results. And I got a feeling that you're very competitive. And maybe, some of that competitiveness kind of jumped in there. And
That's another very interesting angle you brought. I was not, competitive. Wow, that's true.
yeah, and
Interesting.
also it was one of the things that you said was that if you hadn't had that first kind of, like, we've spoken of this before, we always call it a high. If you hadn't had that first high, then it was like you was chasing after it instead of just maybe that first high. Is it possible that something is going on that you just can't feel because you
Yeah.
can't feel it the way you did the first high? Doesn't mean it's not working exactly the way he did it.
Another good point.
Another,
Really, yeah.
another thing that I was looking at was when we started off, you were talking about the challenges, 5 of them that you were trying to do. And is the results you're trying to get to see if you can do 5 things at one time, if it's possible? Is it, or are you trying to actually do them? Which one is it? The question of the challenge? Is it possible to start doing 5 things at one time? Or are you just want to do these 5? I don't know if this
Not
making
very
it.
nice. really, really nice question. And the point is, I 100% want to do all of those. As I mentioned, for years, I'm having those things on the back of my mind. But I believe that I found some angle how I can reinforce and move all those things forward by adding one more challenge on the top of it. Can it be done together? And so as a result, yeah, it's like almost like some kind of psychological game for me. I believe by adding one level of complexity, it makes for me much more interesting than
So
just, yeah.
that's
That's related with the competitive styles.
I'm not competing with anyone, but yeah, I'm just kind of
With
competing against
yourself.
myself. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's
So the you mentioned that you were sometime you wasn't as passionate about all of them as you thought you would be. And
yeah,
you also mentioned that this gap that you have in time was created because you stopped watching
yeah,
TV and movies.
yeah.
So why did you stop watching TV and movies?
Several reasons. We because we talked with my wife many times about what we are doing in the evening, and somehow we agreed that that watching watching kind of TV shows or super nice movies, because there are so many super quality stuff right now all over the place, and we discovered that we are somehow feel like it's hooking us. I mean, one thing is to watch a little bit, like I don't know, some episode or 40 minutes, but we noticed that we could watch for hours and hours. It's just and every time, when it happens, when we talk with each other, we agreed that we feel a little bit, I would say, like almost losing energy, almost like something is sucking out of us some kind of energy. So I don't know how to explain it, but our discussion with my wife, we agreed that that activity of watching stuff in the evening when we have a low energy already and we are almost like a zombies, it's something which not productive, and we need to change something there. So that eventually, after a while, we come to conclusion: what if we just drop it? What will happen? Because to be honest, it's a pure entertainment. So after you watch for several hours, if you ask yourself a question, so what did you get out of it? And we both agree, nothing, literally. All
So
those super nice TV shows with all of those nice actors, and then you stop after 3 hours. It's like, what what was it all about? I mean, what am I getting better, or did I learn something? It's like it's a pure entertainment zombie type of stuff. So that's why we decided to stop, because it's almost like
so
some kind of junk food. You need to stop.
yeah. So you said you were doing this in the evening when you had low energy,
Yes,
and this is
always.
the gap you want to fill. Maybe
Yes,
you're not as passionate about the things that you're trying to do because you have low energy. Maybe have you thought about maybe you're changing the time?
it's interesting consideration, but that's, to be honest. I mean, we created a gap in the evening, but all those habits which I'm talking about, I'm doing it kind of random around the day. So the breathing and cold shower I do the very first thing in the morning, very first. I woke up and I'm still kind of sleeping, and I'm going to shower, and then I put the freezing stuff on my kind of. That's I'm not even thinking. So yeah, timing probably is not, in this case, is not really issue. It's something else. Yeah. but I see the point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, those are just some of the things that popped in my head. Also, John could have kind of interacted a little bit
Well,
more.
yeah, it's interesting. I think uh, in funny because I was watching Irene and I felt like she was in this rhythm with him. And it wasn't until she said John, because I was thinking about questions. So it raises the question of this kind of, this kind
Yeah.
of connection that's being created. And it's almost like a rhythm. I call it dancing. And I felt like I was like listening to the music and watching them dance, and then Irene said, John, do you want to dance? And I was ready, but there was an interesting, and I think this is fascinating, to kind of see how that works, because I didn't want to interject. I didn't want to put myself, I really was trying to honor that quiet space too. But I just felt like, you know, Irene was so engaged with Alex, to raise questions. It just, yeah, I suppose it's getting comfort. But I appreciated when Irene turned to me and said, John, you know, and then I could step in because I was
I
still
felt you have the right question in your energy, and I was right.
picking that up.
Co-pilot. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And I really appreciate number of questions. And Irene came up with a question of my background, lots of experiences, and actually it's interesting. And you see, I discovered some kind of belief also, which probably could limit me, but yeah, somehow it's obviously one of my belief system, which in a way not allowing me to jump into, like modification of somebody's work too premature. I mean, yeah, those things. It's interesting. I'm not. It's good to realize. I'm not sure if it's in this case kind of directly relevant, but it's nice for me to discover. I never thought I had that belief, but
I,
I
I
felt.
saw
Mhm.
I saw immediately, Alex, and because I experience it from myself and many people that has such kind of mastery as you have this kind of belief system and stronger, and it's for something is much more difficult to learn easily new stuff, and it's not because you don't want. It's paradoxical, but it's quite the contrary, because you want much more than others to learn this.
It's a really good point.
Believe me, Aaron. I am modifying right now martial arts, like crazy. Kind of, I mix everything with everything, and but now I feel like I am fluent and capable to modify because I spent almost 40 years of
I
doing it.
know it, and one
That's
of
why,
the things
yeah,
I learned from practicing qigong, I was reluctant to change slightly some exercise because I was obsessed by the way I have to do perfectly.
Mm.
I changed the moment that I worked with one of the master here in Italy, and she said, the exercise is not perfect when you do the perfect form, but when the exercise is perfectly adapted to your body and the shape
yeah,
of your body. And
yeah,
it was like boom, wow.
makes
What's
sense.
going on
Makes sense.
here?
Well, probably I'm kind of not. Yeah, I still need to practice a little bit more and stick with and then I'm sure that something will come up. I mean, maybe modifications as well, but they're supposed to come naturally, not from my mind. And yeah, we'll see. I need to have more repetitions.
But watching your belief system and recognize it will lead to other kind of changes in the long term.
Yeah, true. So that was interesting, guys. Thank you very much. It's like a teamwork, and I feel like I'm surrounded with a huge support, and everybody is present and contributing, even if they're not speaking. And Alice, thank you for your insights. There are really nice points. about like I never really consider myself like super competitive, but obviously I am probably. And so it's a good. I was in competition kind of all my life, right? Supposed to be, right? So okay, good. Then maybe that's a part of the puzzle.
I mean,
Super.
but we're all laughing, Alex, because we know this part of you. You know, when you share your stories and you share about growing up and just all the things and how you approach things, there is and competitive doesn't have to be a negative thing.
No.
It's that edge, right? You want to be good and you want to be the best at what you're doing. But it's in some ways it's really sweet because we all see that like thing that you have. It's the essence of who we've picked up from everything that you shared with us. So
Very
yeah.
nice. Super. So thank you very much, guys, and looking forward to see what will happen in our next session. Who is going to be our client, and what kind of topic that client will bring. So see you next week then.
Alrighty.
Right?
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you,
Thank you,
Irene.
guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, I stopped recording. Yeah, obviously
I think
we are
it's
not.
still going on, Alex. It says live.
No, I clicked